Good day everyone. So today I will be tackling about the learners with difficulty hearing. So let's now move on to the definition. This refers to students with an issue regarding hearing that interferes with academic. The definition from Individuals with Disabilities Education Act or IDEA defines it as an impairment in hearing, whether permanent or fluctuating, that adversely affects a child's educational performance but is not included under the definition of deafness. Deafness is considered when a hearing loss is above 90 decibels. A hearing loss below 90 decibels is called hearing impairment. So, ang learners with difficulty hearing nag-refer sa students nga naay problema sa ilang pandungog na maoy makaapekto sa ilang pag-eskwela. So, according sa katong Individuals with Disabilities Education Act or IDEA, they define as impairment in hearing o kapansanan sa pandungog bisan pa o permanente or pautro-utro basta nakita na nakaapekto sa pag-eskwela sa usa ka bata. Matawag ni siya na kanang naay hearing impairment, pero dili ni layo ra ni siya sa deafness kay i-consider nila ang deafness if ang hearing loss is above 90 decibels nya. If not or below 90 decibel, they called it hearing impairment. So the main challenge of hearing impaired students is communication, since most of them have varying ways of communicating. So naay mga factors na kung asa maapektuhan ang pagdevelop sa communication skills sa mga bata. So first is the intelligence, personality, the degree and nature of deafness and residual hearing, family environment, and the age of onset. The age of onset plays the most crucial role in development of language sa mga bata kung asa functionally disabled ang hearing loss sa bata. Gunad sa paghimugso sa bata, unlike to those students na na-develop ang ilang hearing loss after ma-develop ang speech o language. So let's now move on to the identification. So in order for us to identify learners with difficulty hearing, so these are the following items we must observe. So first is speaking loudly. So usa sa dapat natong mabantayan or ma-consider na ang bata na ay problema sa pandungog kung kanang kusog siya makipag-istorya or kusog siya mudag istorya. Then second is positioning ear towards the direction of the one speaking. Kanang kanang ang iyang dunggan kanang murag itungod jud sa baba sa speaker aron masabtan niya og unsa toy kanang gisulti sa speaker. So third is asking for information to be repeated again and again. So usa po di ay sa kanang naay problema sa pandungog ang bata ug kanang sige og kanang pabalik-balik na magpangutana bisag kapila na kanitubag mangutana gihapon sa impormasyon nga wa niya nasabtan. And then fourth is delayed development of speech. Kanang dugay siya makaistorya kay murag dugay ma-develop ang speech sa ijang hunahuna kay tungod lagi hinay siya og pangtungog. So fourth is watching the face of the speaker intently. So kanang nakatutok jud kaayo ang mata sa bata sa nag-istorya, especially kanang mailan nimo ang bata na naay problema sa pandungog kay kanang once namutan-aw siya nimo dili sa imong eyes, dili sa imong face, kundi sa mismo sa imong baba. The way ka mo istorya kay diha nila may baw-an na sa imong buot ipasabot. So next is not responding when called. So usa sa angay natong bantayan na ang bata di siya agad-agad mo response sa atuan labi nagkapila na tamong tawag. So next is has difficulty following instruction, kanang maglisod og kanang sunod sa mga instruction na imong gihatag. Then next is does not mind loud noise. kanang bisan pag unsa pa kasaba ng imong surroundings, kung ang bata is kanang naay difficulties in hearing, so di na siya mag-mind nga na murag baliwala na lamang sa iyaha. Then learning close to the source of sound. So usap pod sa kanang mga bata na naay problema sa pandungog kay kanang ang uban kay kanang mudo, for example mutan-aw og TV. Ang uban, ang bata nga na kay muduol jud sa TV aron madunggan jud nila agi ag ilang gitan-aw. Ang uban pod sa radyo na ila jong ibutang ang radyo dool sa ilang dunggan para mas masabtan nila ug unsay gibuot pasabot ato na ilang gipaminaw. So let's now move on to the learning characteristics. Since much of it is acquired through hearing, students with hearing problems their experience. Since they may miss out on daily conversations, they may miss crucial information that non-hearing impaired students learn incidentally. Students may overcome these problems by investing time, energy, and combined effort by both parents and educators. Most learners with difficulty hearing use various methods of communication. The most common is the use of hearing aids combined with lip reading. These students are referred to as oral since they can communicate through speech as opposed to sign language. They might have delayed communication skills since the development of vocabulary is lower. They understand concepts when the sentence structure is simpler. Interacting with students can be a challenge, so they prepare to work on their own. Some hearing impaired students use non-takers in class since it is difficult to lip read and note simultaneously. So, as we can say that the students will learn through hearing. So, if the students or learners have difficulty in hearing, so possible ma-miss nila ang mga important information na gitudlo sa maestra diha sa ilaha. So, in order for them na ma-overcome nila ang maong problemaha, ang students na tagaan sila og much time and effort sa pinaagi sa tabang sa ginikanan o sa mga maestra. So, mao lagi to na ang mga bata na naay difficulties in hearing, so naa sila lain-lain na pamaagi in communicating. So, ang ubang bata, as you can see sa school, naa sila yung mga hearing aids. Pero, in order for them to understand, they combine it with lip reading, which is referred to as oral, since they can communicate through speech as opposed to sign language. Pero ang uban, murag mas gipili na lamang nila na kanang murag na mag-tutor nila sa, for example, sa balay, mas madali sila maka-understand kaysa murag ikuyog siya dito sa eskwelahan na maglisod kay daghan silang tudloan na di siya mapokusan sa maestra. So let's move on to the general educational adaptations. So there is an assumption that the only adjustment for hearing impaired is to make all instructional materials and techniques in written format. These are other ways to adapt to hearing impaired student. So first is teachers should help students with difficulty hearing to use the residual hearing they may have. So, mas maayo gyud na ang mga maestra mutabang sa mga bata, labi na sa mga bata na naay difficulties in hearing. Next is teachers should help students develop the ability for speech reading or watching other lips, mouth, and expression. Aron mas ma-develop ang speech reading sa mga bata, dapat mo-provide si teacher og ways pinaagi sa pagpatan-aw sa laing lips, mouth, o expression sa ubang bata, igmag istorya. Third is the teacher should be mindful to face the class all the times when presenting information while ensuring that the students with difficulty hearing sit near them. So kinahanglan si teacher ipalingkod sa atubangan ang bata so that during his or her class, the student will understand his or her discussions. The teacher should be mindful at all times. Next is exaggerating the pronunciation of words should not be done, for it just makes it difficult for the students with difficulty hearing. So, ingana, mas maayo na si teacher dili niya palabian og slang pag-pronounce ang mga words kay mas makasamot noon na dili makasabot ang mga impaired students. Then next is direction. As always, important part of the lesson should always be written on board. So mas maayo na ang mga direction kinahanglan isuwat sa blackboard aron bisan dili sila kadungog mabasa nila sa board. So ingana napamaagi makasabot sila. Next is written or pictorial direction instead of verbal direction may be given. So instead of verbal communication, mas effective sa mga na ay hearing loss ang ang written or pictures in order for them to understand what the lesson is. So next is step to an activity may be physically acted but instead of verbally given. So mas maayo sad na ang mga activity it could be done physically not verbally. So next is a variety of multisensory activities should be given to allow the students to focus on their learning strengths. So ang multisensory activities kinahanglan i-allow sa mga students aron makafocus sila sa ilang learning strengths. Teachers should be more patient when waiting to hear a response from hearing impaired students which may take longer than usual. So the teacher should give more time sa students na naay problema sa pandungog to hear a response from them. Kinahanglan taas og pasensya kay lahi na sila sa normal students. So expected gyud na dugay gyud ni sila maka-response. So this is the end of my discussion and thank you for listening.